House Leader, the member's time for speaking has expired.
Madam Speaker, the member's time for speaking having been expired, I beg to move that the Minister be granted sufficient time to allow for the completion of her presentation. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thanks, House Leader. The question is that the Minister be allowed sufficient time to complete. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we now move to the costing of the give-ups, the promises the opposition announced. So, Madam Speaker, the spokesman on finance said that they would pay back the asset tax that is levied on the financial sector in 5 payments. So first, Madam Speaker, the spokesman on finance would have to stop taking the asset tax before he can start paying back for what was taken. Otherwise, he would never finish paying back.
Members.
A point of order. The member for South East St. Andrew said nothing about giving back asset tax. He talked about phasing out the tax over 5 years, not giving back the revenue already collected in 1 year. The minister is again misleading the House, and she must stop doing it. On securitization, I never said that securitization is in itself wrong. I said the use of the proceeds to fund the recurrent budget, using future revenue to meet today's expenses is what is wrong. And she's again misrepresenting the position.
So, Leader of the Opposition, members, please, Leader of the Opposition, I hope you will appreciate that this is not a cross debate. And members, I am ruling, and the ruling stands. So, Opposition Leader, you have been allowed the leeway to rise on a point of order twice to offer some clarification to what was said. Members, no, I don't think so. Please allow Minister to conclude. Members. Minister Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, an estimate for the asset tax give-up would be $8,364,000,000, which we will minus of the revenues of the opposition side of the ledger. Additionally, the opposition said they would not require any corporate taxes from MSMEs for 3 years. Madam Speaker, that's a give-up of $11.4 billion. Not for 3 years, in the first year, Madam Speaker. So we take that off of their ledger as well. The opposition also said they would take 1% of the taxes on the food import bill to put into a fund, so that would not be available for the central government's budget. And their own estimate is $2.5 billion, so we have to minus that off on their side of the ledger. And I have no quarrel with that figure. The opposition also said that they would increase the employer tax credit from 30% to 40% of tax chargeable. The cost. So the cost of that, Madam Speaker, would be a give up of $3.4 billion. So now if we take a tally, their revenues and grants would now be $939,859 million after all those give-ups. Madam Speaker, let's move on to the expense side of the ledger. So we are projecting that compensation of public sector workers, including pensions, wage negotiation, and items owed will be $495,799 million. I don't believe the opposition would want to meddle with this number, except to increase it if they believe they can. So I will put that figure on their side of the ledger as well, because we have to pay public sector workers. We get to the next line item under the expenses, the recurrent programs. And for Jamaicans, recurrent programs are programs such as PATH, school feeding, Grand Store, 1,009 schools, school transportation, books for schools, supplies for hospitals and health clinics, restorative justice programs, child diversion programs, Grand Gala and other independence celebrations, Know Your Numbers programs, trucking of water, subvention to our universities and teachers' colleges, subvention to NSWMA for garbage collection, payment for streetlights, and so on. You get the gist of what is in this figure of $359.4 billion. And Madam Speaker, every dollar of it is already allocated to something. The notion that there is all this discretionary money is just that, a notion. Every dollar in the budget is allocated. The opposition would be free to look at these programs and decide which ones they're not doing or which ones they will cut back on because those are the only decisions that are available. So in the meantime, we put the $359.4 billion on the side of the ledger for the opposition as well. So we move to capital spending. We're estimating that we will spend $62.6 billion, Madam Speaker. We would love to spend more, but we have to work within a budget. And I will use the same figure for the opposition. If they want to cut it, keep it, or increase it, that's their prerogative. So we come to another tallying point. You will notice, Madam Speaker, on the government side, after paying public sector workers and recurrent and capital programs, not including interest on the debt and amortization, we have $178.313 billion left. The opposition has $22.088 billion left. But wait, Madam Speaker, there is still a long list of other goodies that the opposition promised. Yes, yes. The opposition promised to raise standards in early childhood and primary schools. There was no costing associated with this, but I would expect that they wouldn't spend any less than $1 billion. The opposition promised a daily lunch meal at primary and secondary for all children who need it. Madam Speaker, the government currently spends $9 billion for 200,000 children to get a breakfast snack and/or a midday meal. So it sounds like the opposition would want to at least double this to 400,000 children. Right? And so that would cost them an additional $9 billion. The opposition also promised a daily breakfast, but they said thereafter. And so I take that to mean in the next fiscal year, so I don't have anything projected there for that. Yes. Madam Speaker, the opposition promised transport subsidy for 50,000 students over 3 years. In this upcoming fiscal 2025-26, that would cost an additional $428 million, just using the current figures for the 7,500 children for whom the government provides transportation. The opposition also promised to increase funding for special needs, but no one knows how much. And so I don't think that they would want to invest less than $1 billion in our special needs students. So there it is. Then electricity. They too want to tackle energy poverty and put renewable grid in communities, among other things. No cost was associated with this, but I'm going to put $2 billion because when we announced our $1 billion prepaid meter, house wiring and inspection, and $4,000 credit per month program, the opposition said it was not enough. Right? So add another billion, right? Okay. Madam Speaker, the opposition explicitly said that they would give $1 billion to the creative industry. So that is on the side of their ledger as well. Now this one, Madam Speaker, one full scholarship for a university degree per family. Madam Speaker, I had to get out my Excel spreadsheet to do this one. And so if you'll put the chart up for the one full scholarship per family. So, Madam Speaker, the number of households in Jamaica are, well, it's 967,000. And when you read the literature, household is used as a proxy for families. So you can assume, you can correctly use this as 967,000 families in Jamaica. The number of students graduating from high school yearly is 35,000 students. And when you compare 35,000 to 967,000, you can pretty much see that there's a student coming from, families all across Jamaica. So, Madam Speaker, I made the assumption that the cost of tertiary per year is $900,000. I am sure I am underestimating. I am sure I am underestimating the cost of tertiary. But anyways, Madam Speaker, every student graduating from high school would want a full scholarship.
Is that right?
Yes. And if you just take those figures, 900,000 times 35,000 students, because there's no student that's going to go to student loan to go get a loan, not when they can get a full scholarship, or they can get a full scholarship per family. Well, we have 967,000 families in Jamaica, so you must can get 35,000 from them. And so, Mr. Speaker, when you take that and do the multiplication, you know, other than saying one per family, Madam Speaker, there were no other stipulations, nothing. It was a blanket statement. It just said one per family. That was it. When the Prime Minister at our party's conference in November last year, when he announced that he was going to give $20,000 to persons who were not, collecting any benefit from the government, he gave conditions. He said that they would have to be registered at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, who would vet them, and so on. So he gave conditions. There were no conditions other than one per family to this promise. So, Madam Speaker, I did